All right.
Today we're going to be talking about racism.
Yep, intersectionality and racism.
Yep, and how our different identities relate to society.
Yes. So what was, sorry, I have the thing up. What was the first question?
The first question is, what is an individual identity marker?
Oops. What is an individual identity marker in your opinion?
Well, it's like your name and your how you think of yourself and not really how it relates to society
Right.
thinking of you,
Right.
I guess.
And it's mostly
So,
like only really like people know your individual identity marker, like your name
yeah.
or
And it's like what you know about yourself.
yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, I think that's what would you say your individual identity markers are?
Well, yeah, it would be like what is your favorite color and be probably a blue color.
Ah, I see.
Yes, that's
All right. Next
and
question, or
then
I guess no. Continue. Sorry.
oh, sorry. And I was gonna say, an intersectional identity marker rather than an individual one is different because it's like your race and your gender and your sexuality
Yeah,
and all of that, all of these things, and how the systems of society will interact with these identities
yeah,
and how you'll be treated.
yeah, and sort of see it from you. Like it's something that you can like see if you like walk out, like
Yeah.
like what Mina said, like ethnicity and like race and gender and whatever. But yeah, it's something that kind of like the world does see. Like the world doesn't see really your individual; it really sees your intersectional.
Yes.
But yeah, I think.
And
Oh, sorry. Continue.
yeah. I'm sorry. Well, I agree with Tatum. She's really smart.
Thank you.
But and the there's a like and okay, I'm sorry. The systems and the policies, like when we were talking about how it interacts with your identity markers, it can either help you or hurt you, the system,
Yeah.
depending on how you look like or how much money you have and stuff.
Yeah.
It like the prison system.
Yeah. Even thinking about that brings me to like a statistic that's like pretty recent actually, where like people with like a quote unquote more like black name, like Jamal or um like something like that,
Yeah.
actually are less likely to get like a job, the same job than someone named like Greg or like,
Yeah.
which is really weird. Well, I mean, I guess that is like a situation where like your individual identity marker does kind of get shown, like, and that kind
Mhm.
of like sometimes people just assume like I know even with my name like being Tatum, people kind of sometimes assume I'm like a white male, which is very interesting to look at
Mhm.
when I am not a white male. Last time I checked,
You
um,
know, last time I
last
checked,
time I checked, I was not a white male, but that's just me. Um, but yeah, I mean, but yeah, I guess that's where that
and
kind of fuses together.
yeah. Mhm. And there's a bunch of consequences to the society, um, because they you could be thrown in jail unfairly. You could be judged by unfairly by a jury, and
Yeah,
you could like not get a job, as Tatum says, and you could be homeless more often,
right.
and if you are transgender, you could also not have a difficult time to get a job, and you might not have a place to live because your parents kicked you out.
Yeah, or just like,
So
yeah, and just like in general, like even just like being like on like just walking around like in public, people might
yeah,
just like
people judge
assume,
you.
like especially like, I don't know, I guess growing up, I guess, I don't know, I chose Mina to do this because we are different in the way of like not really like, I guess interests, like we have the same interests and stuff, but we are different races and ethnicities, so we might have different experiences when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But like I can just say like just in general, especially with my mom being white, like people think I'm like adopted or like something weird. It's also the stereotype of like like black dads don't like abandon their children, or like I don't know,
Hmm.
I just think that's something that is also
And
mentioned. Oops.
yeah, people will judge you for
Yeah.
that, you know.
Right.
And I never have to deal with that.
Yeah. It looks like the next question is, how do systems slash policies laws interact with identity markers? Like we kind of talked about that, but I think like with the system in general, like you just kind of it really puts into perspective like what like you like what actually happens like kind of behind the scenes, like
Yeah.
like with Mina, like like how Mina said, like with the prison system, and I don't know, it's just like it's weird to think about like that actually, like the system is a lot more racist than like the people, and kind of the system is like a reason that some people are racist, which is interesting to think about.
Yeah. And like the consequences of this, which and there are a whole lot of consequences. Like if you are a rich white person who has had like a lot of education, you almost can kind of be at the top of society and control it. Like you could control,
Yeah.
the banks, and you have a large amount of money. But it's easier to go to college and to get
Yeah.
this that stuff if you're white.
Yeah,
So,
especially because like a lot of people of color are living in like higher needs communities, since
hmm
either because like their family doesn't speak English, or like they don't speak a lot of English. And I don't know, I'm just saying this from personal experience because I know like I like a lot of my friends aren't like what's it called, white, and it's like
yeah.
you just kind of see like how it actually is, like the perspective of like people of color, and just like how
hmm
it's harder to like kind of leave that, and that's why people assume like, oh like um oh, black people drop out more often, and that's
hmm
not true at all. It's just kind of sometimes it's the circumstances that they're given, it's not
Yeah.
really, it's not really just that, it's just like this. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of just
And
ranting at this point.
people are like kept down in in
Yeah.
poverty.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Just especially with like the shrinking middle class, it's really just like
hmm
hectic.
and it's hard to get out of poverty
Yeah.
when like you can't do stuff
Yeah, when you're, yeah.
with the money to go to college.
Yeah, poverty is like one of like, it's just like it's like once you're in poverty, it's really hard to get out, and like a lot of, I
Hmm
think I'm trying to think of what the percentage was, but I think like there's a certain percentage of like people that grew up in poverty, and like people that like, it was like a graph of the people that grew up in poverty and people that ended up getting out of poverty like when they were like older. And it was a really interesting statistic. I'll have to pull it up, but it was
Yeah.
just like different than it was a lot, it was really like almost like grounding, like you could really see like what like is going on in the world, and like how we kind of need to fix it.
hmm
I keep going.
Why should we learn about this? The understanding of systemic privilege and oppression in middle school, and I think it's really important.
Right.
So,
I
and
I
because
agree.
you can understand what's been happening in society, and it's like and it's important to understand because you can't just go through life being like, oh, hey, I don't know why this is happening.
Like, yeah, I agree. Like, I think like miseducation and kind of like
Yeah.
just like very being very like ignorant on the issue or like just the
Mm-hmm.
situation in general is
Mm-hmm.
like one of like that. I think that's why a lot of people are racist, to be honest, or just like
Yeah, they
sexist or
don't
like
actually
just
know.
misogynistic or just in general that like they are uneducated. Like, I don't know, just like I don't know, I keep saying with personal experience, but like I have talked to people that have been like, oh, police brutality isn't real, or like especially people like I don't know, like sometimes I talk to people that love the statistic of like, well, white people are like actually get arrested more likely than black people, but it's also in America
Because
we don't have as
there's
many black
more,
people. Yeah, there's more white people
yeah, and
than
there's more, yeah, exactly. I'm sorry. It's just, I'm like, I don't know. But,
yeah.
people, like, some people that are racist weren't really taught
Yeah.
early enough
Yeah,
about,
and I think middle school is a really good time to like because that's before like I don't know, I think middle school is before you actually go into like the world, like they say high school is, but I think middle school is like really just like a stopping point where like you kind of take a breathe, like to kind of take a breath, and then you're like, oh dang, like I'm actually
yeah, we're
like
old now.
yeah, we're old now, like what? And I just think like
Yeah, that's crazy. It gets real after middle school, you
it
know?
does, like, and honestly I don't know, I just think like I don't know, just racism, or not racism, I should just say discrimination, like a lot of that comes from like people being uneducated, or just like people also really like to act on like what word am I thinking of, not impulses, yeah,
Biases?
people like to act on biases fairly often, and it's also like yeah, people like to act on biases very often, even if it's like just like mentally, like you don't even realize you're doing it, but I can admit that I've done that before, and it's just like something, it's like you don't even realize it in the moment, and then you're like thinking back to it and you're like, oh wow, like what? And I think that's a really important skill that like I guess people need to like how do I say this, like
Yeah.
kind of get out of like the groove of like just like stop doing it.
Hmm.
And I think middle school is like a time where like people are educated about the most issues, because I remember like in fifth grade I know I was educated on certain issues since my mom does work with like I don't know
Yeah.
like, and I just think middle school was like really eye-opening to like actually like how the world was, because I guess I mean other than my mom, like my grandparents are very like Republican, and I was always taught like my grandparents love that statistic of oh white people get police brutality more, and it's like no, actually like no. And I think
Like,
yeah,
no.
and I think that was just like so very like Maury was just Maury in general, since Maury's very diverse, like I think it was just really
Hmm.
eye-opening in general just to like look at kind of what was going on.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, and it's nice to go to school with people who are like from every background,
Yeah.
you know? And yeah.
Yeah, I think that's another reason why it was really eye-opening, cuz like you got to see, like I don't know, this might just be me, but like you really got to see like everyone from like everywhere. It was almost like I don't know, I think like Maury's kind of like how like the world should be on a much larger scale. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
it wasn't like oh the black kids are hanging out with the black kids and the white kids were hanging out with the white kids. Like it's not like that at all. At Maury it's like the complete opposite. It's like
Yeah.
everyone is just like chilling with everyone. It's not really a thing like
Hmm.
it's another thing like people don't really base things off of like intersectionality at Maury. I guess that's to a certain extent, like because that's how you relate to people in a way. But I think it
Yeah.
was really just individual, like in just that case scenario. And I just think like the world would be a lot better off if like I think like
Yeah.
the world is like very diverse. Like, don't get me wrong, I think it's very, very diverse, but like I also think it is like kind of like friend groups of like the white people hang out with the white people and the black people hang out with the black people, and I don't know, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that because yeah. And when you have like that, you don't really get to experience other people's culture.
Yeah, definitely,
So,
definitely. But yeah, I don't know, I just think like it's like crazy to think, like just thinking back like before like Maury, just how like really uneducated I was like on issues, and then like when I actually like like learned things, I was like, oh wow, that's not okay at all. Like
and yeah,
especially with like,
when I was
yeah.
like in elementary school, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know stuff." But then I'm like looking back, I'm like, I was annoying.
I was annoying.
I was a stupid elementary school kid.
Yeah, and it just like, I don't know, I think I said things that were kind of like very on just very like kind of just like, I don't know. I used to, I don't know. And I also think with Maury, like not even just like by race or ethnicity, it's
Mhm.
also like by gender and sexuality, and like it's not really like, I don't know, I don't think I've ever met, no, I take that back. I've met less homophobic people than like I have met homophobic people, if that makes sense. Like I don't
Yeah.
know, people just like, I don't know, I keep talking about Maury. It's like I'm doing a, not a PSA, like a advertisement. But like I just think
Be
in
like, "Ooh,
general,
join
yeah,
Maury."
join Maury. But I just think like in general, it's just like you really do like, I don't know. I think like it's a really like honestly Maury's just like a really big safe place. Like I've never felt afraid to like just be like who I am, like, you know, in a way. And
Hmm.
it's just like something,
Yeah.
especially with like the support staff and just like the staff in general, not even just the support staff, just the staff in general, I think
Hmm.
make it very easy to just like be yourself and not really
Definitely.
worry about it, you know? Sorry, I'm talking a lot. I
And
should let you talk more.
oh no, no, of course. I was talking a lot. And I since we have to choose the identity markers, um well, I like my individual identity markers, like if people get to know me, it no, I have I forgot to write this down. But it would be to I like to look at memes, which is good,
Right.
but I like to watch, Bob's Burgers. And I really, yeah, and that, and then my two intersectional ones would be, I'm white and I'm a female. Yes. So
Yeah. I am white and I
that
am a
that was
female.
awkward. I'm
Yes, I know,
sorry.
that's okay. That's okay. I mean, talking about like back to identity and intersectionality. I think I didn't really write this down, but I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I think like my individual would be like, um, uh, I don't know. I like a lot of things, but I just think
Yeah.
like I think my intersectionality would kind of be like, I think the ones I identify with most are like, I don't know, being a 13-year-old girl. I think, oh, that's two of them, age and race slash ethnicity. But I also, or I guess, but I am like biracial, which is something that like
Hmm.
is different.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I would not know where I was going with that. But yeah, I just think like, yeah. Hold on, what was the next
Well,
question? I'm kind of getting off topic.
well, the next question was like, why did you choose these identity markers? And
Oops.
I chose it. I chose these because I don't know what else I would choose. Uh, because those are what I was born with, you know.
Right.
And yeah,
And I mean, like, I don't know, I guess, I don't know, I chose mine because, like, I don't know, I don't really. It's something like, I don't know, I think your identities is something you don't really think of, but some people mention, you know? I don't know. I don't really think of myself, like, I don't constantly think of myself, oh, I'm biracial. Like, I think about it. Like, it's not like I'm not, it's not like I'm not, like, thinking about, like,
Yeah.
but it's also, like, something that it's not, like, when I'm thinking about myself, the first thing like, being biracial is not the first thing I think of. I
Hmm.
think of, I don't know, I like video games. Like when people say to describe yourself, like I'm not the first thing I'm saying. Like the or like yeah, let me rephrase that. Like when people ask me like, "Oh, describe yourself." Like I'm not going to be like, "I am a 13-year-old girl and my dad is black and my mom is white." Like that just seems like so unnatural to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I don't know. I agree with me, and I chose those identities because I do identify with them, but it's not like the first thing that comes to mind when I think about myself.
And when I'm like asked to like choose some, I kind of don't know what to choose with my individual ones, you know?
Right.
So it's and you know, we I used to think like before the research of the identity markers, I used to think like this was a while ago and I'd be like, "Oh, well, people don't really like there are racist people, but like most people aren't." But like that's kind of untrue.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, most people won't mind that like whatever you identify it as, like, you know, they won't mind that you're a different race or that you have like different gender or do you have like different sexuality." So,
Yeah, and I think that's another thing. Like a lot of times, like since the world is like I understand like the world isn't perfect, but I think since the world is a lot more accepting than it was like let's say like 50 years ago, like
mhm.
it's almost like you forget that like there is racist people out in the world. There is like homophobic people. There is misogynistic people. There's
Mhm.
like sexist people.
Yeah.
Like it's just like oh there's sorry I was just thinking of there's transphobic people. Like you almost like forget since like there is so many people in the world that are like oh my gosh that's like so cool like I accept you like or whatever. Like but like when you think about it like I don't know I
And
just
then
yeah
and then like you go to like the next place over and you'll find like way more racist
yeah
people.
it's just like a whole different thing. You just like think about it and you're like oh dang like or like when you think back on experiences like when you're like oh maybe they're not like I don't know like I guess
Yeah.
I don't know I just think like I think like I don't know I think I've experienced racism to a certain extent but in the moment I don't really realize it since it is so
Yeah.
like covered up in a way like it's kind of like a reverse compliment like when it's like when people phrase a compliment as like an insult but you take it as a compliment but it was meant as an insult like I don't know that's how I take it
Mhm.
sometimes is like
Like you don't get it at the
yeah you don't
time.
get it but then you think back on it and you're like oh that was kind of racist like or that was kind of
Yeah, it's like,
sexist or
"Oh,
whatever like I don't know I just think like that's just like so like I don't
yeah."
know
And it's like when I was doing the research, I think that I was hoping to find, I don't really know what I was hoping to find. I think that I was just, I don't know.
yeah and like when we were doing Black History especially I was like thinking about it and I was like oh like not like as like the most of the announcements said like Black history isn't always based off of like oppression even though like
It's always
yeah
betrayed.
even though it is always portrayed as like oh we have Black History Month because slavery kind of like I don't know I kind of like think it's like so weird as like people sometimes think of Black History Month as like kind of like a reward to like all the bad stuff that
Yeah.
happened or like kind of like
Yeah,
we're
that's
sorry like an
pretty.
apology and it's like I don't think that's what it is but all right
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, that's really true. Cause yeah.
but yeah I don't know and I think I did some like even like I don't know during I forgot his name. That's like the whole point. But when I was researching, I did find a really cool article about like how like pretty much goth and like emo was pretty much invented by a black man back in like the 30s.
I
And
didn't
or
know
maybe it wasn't
that.
that bad. It was like in the 40s, but he's the guy that like actually made the song like that was in Hocus Pocus, like the I'm gonna put a spell on you song. And I thought that was really cool. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. And I know that wasn't really research on like intersectionality identities, but I did find that kind of cool. Um,
Yeah, that is cool. Well,
um,
I guess that kind of is about identity
yeah,
because people don't like when people think of emo, they don't think of someone in the 40s, like especially someone that's like black, you know?
yeah, exactly, exactly.
So they think of like I don't know.
And like back to biases. Sorry, this was a topic that was made like back like 10 minutes ago. But
Yeah.
biases are also like something that I think should be taught more often. Is like people do have biases. Like I can admit I have biases when it comes to like whatever. It's like something that
Hmm.
it's also something that people are really afraid to admit when like it's really just like everyone has
That's
them.
true.
I mean, I think it's like a moving thing where people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't have biases," but you're always going to have biases. It's just something like which ice cream flavor do you like more? Like never mind, never mind. Wrong analogy. Uh like what
I mean,
color do you
that's
like
kind of
more?
right.
Yeah, kind of, but like let's just say what color do you like more? Like you're always going to be drawn towards one color more than the
Mhm.
other. So why am I
Yeah.
why am I making okay? Anyways, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
but I don't know. I just think like
People should be aware
yeah, I think
that
people should be aware and people should like it's something that like I don't know. It's something that I've worked on not having biases. Um,
mm,
I was also thinking about this while talking about it. How a lot of people in our world are afraid to say black, so they say African American.
yeah.
Which I think is kind of weird. Not gonna lie, because like if I call like, it's like the same as like Caucasian. Like
Yeah.
even like looking at
Mm,
like like quizzes, like even at like where do they do it? They usually do it like at school registration, when they're like, oh,
yeah.
what race are you? Like African American, or like it's like it has all the religions, but I always recognize that it has African American instead of black. But I don't know. It's just like so weird that like it's not like I'd be calling a white person Caucasian. Like I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
that's
Mm-mm.
just my personal opinion. I just find that kind of weird. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
yeah, it's just
And
what
like,
else?
oh,
What? Sorry.
sorry.
Continue.
No, I don't even know what I was gonna say.
Um, what were you? We already did this. What were you hoping to find? Um, I don't know. I wasn't really hoping to find anything. I was just hoping to. I was just honestly just looking at like I guess
Yeah.
kind of what
Yeah. We just
happened.
wanted to find like information.
Yeah, and like I don't know. I think it's really cool hearing like Mina's perspective on the same issues, even though it doesn't really matter because like there's like racism. We all know racism's bad. It's like sexism's
Yeah.
bad, but it is just interesting hearing the perspective. I don't know why I keep referring to you as Mina. Sorry, I can't like when I hear like your perspective. It's just like it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
you're welcome.
Um, and the research that we did, yeah, it did find some injustice because, yeah, and because the injustices of like with Tatum, she probably will face more injustice in her lifetime than I will, you know?
Yeah, like I don't know. I think yeah, I agree. Like it's just like something that like a lot of like I don't know. I think stereotypes are kind of the root to evil. Like when you think
Hmm.
about everything in the world, like kind of it's like stereotypes are like a
There's
really
always just
big
one
issue. Like
stereotype.
exactly. Like when you think about it, like when you think about it, like just stereotypes of like just stereotypes that I've heard, not towards me, just like in general of like hearing people
Mm-hmm.
talk about things. Sometimes there's like that lesbians want to be boys, like, or that gay men have to be really feminine, or
Yeah.
like even when you think about that like reversed, like that women have to be really feminine and that men have to be really masculine and they can't cry, or
Mm-hmm.
just stereo, especially like racial stereotypes, which is like, oh, um like black people are more violent and they like
Yeah.
they have to have really long acrylics, like, or even you can even like say that with like white people can't handle spicy food, or just like weird stereotypes that I have no idea where they came from. They're just like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of like when you think about it, it's kind of like a societal norm. Like,
You know, and it, sorry.
sorry, I mean like it shouldn't be a societal norm, but it's just something that like it's just like something
Mm-hmm.
that's just kind of like there, like it's not even stereotypes that like people have grown up with. It's just like at this point it's just kind of like it just seems like common knowledge of just like, and it shouldn't be. Sorry, it sounds like I'm trying to make it seem like that. It should not be.
No, no, I
Like
agree.
stereotypes are so bad for like just like everything. Like,
And when you and like those stereotypes, like they actually hurt people. Like even though it's like, oh, it's just a joke, but it kind
yeah.
of hurts people.
Yeah, exactly. Or just like the fact of like, I don't know, I think labels are also a really big deal. Like how like I don't know. I think labels are also like really weird. Like not that like I don't know. I just think like labels, especially when it comes to like, okay, I'm going to go on a whole different rant here about religion, which
Oh yeah,
is
let's
okay, all
let's do
right,
it.
religion. Okay. Um I forgot what I was going to say about religion. Like I just think it's like so, like I don't know. I think it's so weird that like parents are teaching their kids like that, like not really. I mean, I think they're straying away from it, but there is like some parents that are like, oh, if you're gay, like that's bad, or
Yeah,
like that's a
yeah, like
sin.
you're gonna go to
Yeah,
hell.
yeah, exactly. And they're just constantly like, oh, that's a sin. And I think that's something they're straying away from. But I just think that's like so weird that like religion is kind of like that, and it's also like something that like religion isn't made for like to be hateful. Like that's where I cross the line. Like, go ahead,
Yeah.
be religious, believe what you want, but like when you use it to be hateful and when you use it to be like just plain flat out rude, or just like when people are like, oh, I don't believe that because of my religion. Like
Uh-huh.
I understand to a certain extent, but you can't be like, I don't like gay people because of my religion. Like,
Yeah,
no,
it's like
that's just being hateful. Like,
it's
there's
like
no
it's like if
explanation.
you're gonna like hate a group of people, just don't like hide behind
Yeah,
religion.
don't use religion as like a weird mask or whatever. Like, just flat out say like just don't use it. Like, and the thing is, people aren't gonna care. Like, not like I don't know. Like, I kind of phrase that weird. But, like, people aren't really just gonna like care. Like, if you're like, oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
because of my religion, they're gonna keep being like them. Like, they're not gonna stop being them because of you. And I think that's like another thing is
Yeah.
like kids are like afraid to be themselves because either like their parents or their friends or their like colleagues or their teachers or whatever. And I think
Mhm.
that's a really really big problem.
Yeah, it's a big
Is that
problem.
like people are afraid to be themselves because of other people's judgments or opinions. And I think that's something, I think I was talking to Miss Landon about this earlier, or not earlier, like a couple days ago. But I was like, why are people like it's just like a thing that like I don't know. I like
Yeah, and it's like
it's
what
just so
just like
weird.
in general, like why are people like this?
Yeah, and like why are people just constantly hating on like other people's lifestyles? Like
Mm-hmm. And
like
sorry.
it's not hurting you unless they're committing like arson or like killing people.
Yeah.
Like that's like anything illegal, like don't do that. Like don't be illegal about it, but go ahead, live life how you want to. Like it's none of your
Yeah,
business.
and like people like when if people are afraid to like be who they are, like that's why like in the research we found like that suicide rates are like so much higher in the gay and trans like community
Yeah.
because like 40% of trans people will like commit suicide.
Yeah, and I think that's also a very like speaking about that, like that's also a really sad statistic that like a lot of, especially like when it especially like homelessness, like a lot of LGBTQ people are homeless, and like especially kids, like that's like so sad to me, is that
It is really
like
sad.
especially in that, in both of those statistics, like a lot of the people, like a lot of the just people, LGBTQ people that are homeless are like, I
They're
think
like,
our kids, and like the, I don't know, I just think that's like really sad, is like that's the world we are in right now, is that like,
yeah.
I don't know, that's just like really
And like back to
sad.
stereotypes, like you either like act white or you act black.
Yeah, that's exactly like, I don't know, I keep saying from personal experience, but being biracial, like I always felt like that I was like, it wasn't, I don't know, I just always felt like I was too black for the white kids or too white for the black kids, and it was just always like that running cycle of just like, and it was really like it was really sad, like I don't know, there was a point in my life where I just like didn't feel like I belonged to like anywhere, and it
Yeah.
was just like really, and then I eventually like moved on from that, and then I was like, I don't really like, it's not something that it's like, it's not something that you can like really control, like it just like
Hmm.
is kind of a thing, and I don't know, I guess it's kind of like it was like a mind state, or like a, yeah, like a mindset that I had to get out of, but then I
Hmm.
realized like I am myself, and it's like it is what it is, like, and if people don't like that,
Yeah, then they don't
it
have to like hang
happens.
out with you, you know?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So, but yeah, but that would be like it's that would be really difficult because,
Yeah.
yeah, like I'm sorry, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
difficult. But yeah.
I also think like, even I think the next, like I don't know, if I was to change, if I was to add one thing to change the world right now, it would definitely be like, I don't know, I think especially like just, actually hold on, before I get into this, I wanted to bring up a statistic that like I actually found out that Gen Zers, one in every six, or I think it's actually one in every four Gen Zer identifies within the LGBTQ plus, and I thought that was kind of interesting. And like everyone, like I don't know, I talked to just like, I'm gonna say my grandparents, I talked to my grandparents about it, and they were like, oh, that's probably because it's just like the media, but like I don't know, I just think like since the world isn't a place where you can actually share your opinions on like things, like, or not share your opinions, but like since you can really be yourself, like, in, or you can somewhat be yourself in the world we're in right now, we're making progress, but since like we really are like being progressive in a kind of way where people aren't really afraid to be who they are, like
Yeah.
it's like a lot more open, like, you know.
Hmm. And like I think I don't know, my grandma might have said that. She's like, "Why are all the kids gay now?"
Why are all the kids, that's a good question, Nina's grandma.
I'm like it was actually kind of funny. She's like, "Why are all the
Why
kids
are all the
gay?"
kids gay? I mean, oh,
My grandma, I love my
I
grandma.
know your grandma. All right. Well, let's get back to questions. Oh, wait, hold on. I wanted to bring it up. One thing I would change in the world would be that people, especially gender fluid people, or people that I don't identify with, like the
Yeah.
like either like male or female, or people that identify in between or don't identify as either. Like, I don't know, especially since there's like so many genders and there always has been. Like,
Hmm.
it's just like people aren't really, even just like from talking to like people my age, like people are like, oh, they're like, technically there's only two genders, like I don't know, people, that's also another thing that needs to be educated. There's a difference between gender and sex. Sex is what you were born as,
Yeah.
gender is what you identify as, and I think that's something that needs to be taught, because like I don't know,
Hmm.
I've seen multiple people be like, isn't gender the same thing as sex, and it's like, no, it's not. Smile.
Smile. Smiley
um
face.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's something that would be that would probably need to change. Just more education on like what like even like because at Maury we've had a class where that was like where we talked about like gender and like attraction kind of. And I don't know.
Mhm.
I think that was a good class, but I think they should teach it in more like depth since that
Yeah.
is like something that's especially in the world as of right now, just because people aren't as afraid to share like who they are with the world, I guess. And it's also like something that like the adults should learn is like especially when like
Yeah.
pronouns as well. Like if you don't know the person's pronouns, you should say they
As
them. You should either say they them or ask or like I don't know. I think it's another thing that's also been recent is like people refer to like non-binary people or gender fluid or agender people talking like oh like they're a they like instead of they're like I don't know people either don't use like they them pronouns or they go really intense with it and they're like they are them and it's like
yeah.
wait a minute they're like I don't know I've even heard this like just like in public like they're a they and it's like
It's
what
like yes.
like I don't know I think that's something that's just like something like that's just so weird and it's like I don't know I think there should be more or not really more understanding just more education on like the gender spectrum and how it works and just
Mhm.
like people and like that it's okay to not identify as a gender like people think it's like so
Yeah.
weird that like people don't identify with like male or female like people are so confused by that and it's like why like hmm why what makes it so confusing
And people like it's way harder it's way harder to be like non-binary in real life. So like
yeah
you'll find like more non-binary people, online because like that's what they prefer to be
yeah
like called.
exactly
But it's way harder to like ask people to use your pronouns, in real
yeah
life.
I think we're getting somewhere with that because like people are I think that's another thing that like is a lot of people people like to assume things like and I
Yeah,
can
that's
admit
true.
I assume things a lot which is something that I really need to stop doing but people just like to assume like oh I think like I don't know just like I think that's like a dude in like a dress but it's like what relax
Yeah.
like stop it
And
and just
it's
like
like people like look at someone and be like, "Oh, just like try to like analyze like
yeah
100% of the things about them."
yeah exactly when like in reality you should just like and it's like something that like I don't know people love to be like that is a sin like people in public and I'm like bro it's none of your business like who cares like let them live their life like
And people are just like
who
trying to like walk
cares
around.
yeah like and it's not something like it's like I don't know I think like I don't know it's just like so weird when people are like that's like when they're like pointing out like a kid like that's not good like I don't know it's
Yeah.
like just so it's like acting that's so childish in my opinion when you're like when you like point at somebody and you're like that is not right that like or it's just like this stupid excuse of that goes against my religion that's a sin
And
like just it's
and
none of
like
your business like
yeah, that's true. And like someone would be walking and then I saw like this mom like tell her toddler like that's not right and I'm like, "Ooh."
ooh like if I mean maybe
Mhm.
if you're like looking at like I don't know. I just think like that's just so weird. Like who said like who needs your opinion? Like it's also like the who needs your opinion? Nobody asked for it. Like go away now,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Anyways, what's the let's go back on topic. Let's see. Where were we?
I think we're at the systems like will they change in your
Oh yeah,
lifetime?
do you think the systems will change in our lifetime? I
I
was thinking
do.
about this. And like when you think about it, like when you think about slaves like back in the day, like do you think they ever like I don't know. I just think like maybe they didn't think like they I don't think they worked for like their kids. I don't know. I feel like I'm phrasing this really weirdly. Let me think of a way to phrase this. I don't know. I just think, like, I think there will be a change, but I don't think it'll be as drastic as we think it will. Because, like, when you think about it, like, yes, we've changed a lot from, like, the 90s, but, like, there still is, like, don't get me wrong, it's improved, but, like,
Definitely.
I think there is still racism, but since it is, like, circulating in the world, a lot more people are educated about it. I think education is, like, the most important part when it comes to, like, just, like, anything. It's just,
That's
like,
true.
so important to stay educated and not dumb about certain situations, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know,
And
it's just, like, it's just
it'll
different.
like definitely change. Like maybe it'll like change like oh gay people won't be allowed or like now they will and like now they won't. But like it'll eventually be like
Yeah.
people will be allowed to marry who they love and people will
Yeah.
stop trying to like prevent black people from voting.
Yeah, and, like, I think we're like, we're away from that. I think there is still people. There's, like, when you think about it, like, think about it. I think it was 2005 when gay people were finally allowed to get married.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I think we're making progress slowly, but I think there will be changes in, like, in my
Yeah.
lifetime. I think there will be changes in our lifetime of just, like, maybe just people being more educated and more understanding. Like,
Like yeah, there will never be a day where like there will never be a day where there's like no
yeah,
racism stuff like
it won't just
that.
happen out of nowhere. It'll be slowly, and just, like, a very hard. It's a hard process, like, trying to obliterate racism or sexism or whatever from the world. Because there is,
Yeah.
like, when you think about it, like there is, like, think about it. There is kids in our, like, there are kids in our generation that think being gay is bad. Like, I don't know. That's what people don't
Hmm.
really understand. Is, like, there is still people that, like, I don't know. Old people, like, to be honest, old people like to think that, like, everyone's democratic, like, that everyone is
Hmm.
just like, vote blue, and it's like, not always. Like, I know, like, a probably, like, half the people, not half the people, but I think, like, a portion of the people I know are, like, the portion of people that I know my age are, like,
Yeah.
conservative, and, like, I think that's something, like, not, like, people don't really understand that either, is, like, I think, I don't know, I don't, and I also think there is, like, just, like, homophobic people in our generation that, like, are gonna probably teach their kids, like, that being gay is bad. And I just think, like, it is, I think racism will always be a thing. Like, I think
Yeah.
it's not something I like to admit, but I think it's something that, like, I can't really be optimistic on it, because, like, think about it, like, people back in, like, the 40s were probably like, oh, like, when you think about it, like, in the 2020s, racism will not be a thing. Police brutality, no. Like,
Yeah.
but
And
we're here now.
yeah, yeah, we're here now. But and people like even like early like people would be scared of people that looked like different than them.
Yeah,
And so like there will always be people that are going to be afraid of people that don't look like them.
yeah, and it's just like, sorry, I don't know. I just think it's, like, something that is, like, it's kind of like
Yeah.
world hunger. Like, I think of it kind of like as the same situation of, like, world hunger. Like,
Yeah,
solving
people are
world
always going to be
hunger
like
is, like,
hungry.
exactly, solving world hunger is going to be a situation that's probably going to be around till, like, my kids have their own kids that have kids that have kids. Like, and I think it's,
Yeah.
like, kind of like the same situation with racism. It's just racism is always
Oh,
going to be a thing. But, like, I don't
and
like to admit it, but it
with
will.
everything, and with like everything, there's always like that one guy,
Yeah, there's always that one guy. Like,
like that. There's like I don't know.
and I don't know. I always think, like, I don't know. I've always had this moral, but since I was little, I don't even know where it came from. There's always gonna be people that agree with you, and there's always gonna be people that disagree with you. Like
That's so true.
even when you think about like past situations that were like really bad, that like a majority of people think are really bad, like when you think about like the Columbine shooting, like there like a lot of people disagree with that. That was not right, but there's also people that are like, oh, that makes sense. Like that makes
Like,
sense.
oh,
Like,
yeah. Like, there are people that looked up to the people that shoot up schools.
yeah, there's people like even when you think about it, like serial killers, there was like yes, multiple like a majority of the people in the world, like I don't know, I think if like the whole world was a council and they were put between decisions, there's some people that would vote yes, that was good, and there's people be like no, that's bad. Like there's always going to be, since everyone has their own opinion in the world, like there's always going to be
Yeah.
people that believe what they want to believe and people that want to believe what they want to believe, if it's right or wrong. Not saying that like something like some people things that people believe are wrong, like I am saying that, but like I also don't think like that, I don't know. I'm just ranting at this
Yeah.
point, but I don't know, I just think like that's just, it's just something that like people are always gonna have their opinions on certain things and people are gonna have their opinions on other things. Like it just is what it is.
And then, wait, and then, I'm gonna change, like, what's gonna happen, as a young adult. Like, that'll be really
Oh
important to
yeah, this is
change.
oh yeah, this is okay. This is a question I was kind of excited for. So this, it's like we're in the most like progressive time I think we've been in for a while, especially because 2020 was a literal,
Yeah.
like it was just it was like an explosion of just like babies. Like I don't know, I'm trying to
Yeah.
think of something weird. Like it's literally an explosion of
Mhm.
like old microwave burritos. Like
Yeah.
that's the only like you put too many in the microwave and they exploded.
Yeah, Mom.
Here,
Sorry.
we can stop the recording and we can come back.
Okay, can we pause it?
Yes. Give me a second.
Yeah, hi, Mom. I'm recording something with Tatum. Yeah. Yes. Love you, Mom. You should go outside. Okay. I'll go outside. Go outside.
Go outside.
Yeah, go outside, Mina. Jeez. I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's all
I'm
good.
like, I'm like, Mom.
Mom. All right.
She's like knocking on my door. I'm like, Mom.
Yeah. How much time are we at? We are at
I don't know.
52
Hi,
minutes.
Dad. I'm
Hi,
good.
Dad.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Sorry.
That's all good. But yeah, young adults. I think like especially after, back to what I was saying, like like since 2021 was 2021, like we're still at like a point in time where like we, since 2021, it like really I think it put a lot of people into perspective, especially with COVID and like the shoot or not the shooting, like the George Floyd case. And I think it really put a lot of people's perspectives like into perspective, you know? Like it really put a lot of people into perspective of like am I doing enough to like help, especially because like I don't know, I just think like especially because our generation is very, I think our generation in general is very educated on what's going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just like a really good thing.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing to know, like, because I think we are very educated as a generation just in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I just think like we are the change, like whether we like to admit it or not, or like if we like to be quirky and different and be like, we are the change, like we kind of are. Like,
Yes, we are change.
We are change. But yeah, it's just like something that like, I guess if like, I don't know, like how I said that, like if I wanted to change, I would just have more education on like, I don't know, I think gender has always been something very sincere to my heart. I don't know, that sounds really cheesy, but I just think like gender and sexuality has always been like close to my heart, like not anti pro LGBTQ like plus rights and like just everything in general. It's just like something that like I don't know. I've always been like,
yeah, of
I
course.
want to be myself no matter what you think or whatever like you do. I'm gonna do it anyway.
Like,
like just yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think how do you think you'll be the change, Mina?
Like, I'll be voting, like that's the least you could
Yeah,
do.
vote. That's true. Voting.
And, gonna vote. And if it's like, and like, this is like the basic stuff, but it's like, if you
Yeah.
see someone, just like, don't harass them,
Yeah, or if someone is harassing them, call them out. Be like, "Hey."
Yeah, of course.
Or like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think like I don't know. I think I can't remember, but I was at Costco and there was this lady yelling at this like obviously like a woman who's transitioning, and like
Hmm.
this lady was like, "You are just so stupid and dumb. Like you will always be a man." And it's like, and like afterwards I like walked up to like them and I was like, "Hey, you look really pretty." And then I left, and then they were like, "Oh, thank you." And I was like, "You are so welcome." Like, cause I don't know, I just think it's so stupid that people are like, like they're just like, that's just so hate. It's just that's
And
so
like, nobody
stupid.
deserves that.
Yeah,
Like, she
nobody
was just trying to
deserves
go to
that.
Costco.
Exactly. Like, geez, lady, let people live at Costco.
Yeah, like, people just trying to just buy stuff at Costco.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just hold on. Someone's at my door. I will be back. Okay, I'm just gonna turn down volume to stuff. Okay, give me a second. If you go upstairs, this is the living room. You have two. Oh, they have more. We technically have four. Yeah, they have more. Yeah. No. Yeah, this is like the living room. This is so cool. How does like that? This table. This is like, it's not a balcony, but it's like a side balcony with windows. That's so sick. I love this house. Can I live here? I don't know if Auntie wants you in their room, but that's their room. Jaden. Yay, my closet. This is okay? Yeah. Okay. Jay, this is Tim's bathroom. That's my bathroom. She has a door. Please, the marble tile? I know. Look at the floor. This is so bougie. Yeah. You suck, Tatum. I know, I need to sweep. It's like actually really gross. And the sink is more. Yeah. And this is my room. Oh, Tatum, your room is absolutely atrociously cool. Thanks. Why is mine not like this? I feel like I have to step it up. Death Note! That is the sickest poster I have ever seen in my life. Thank you. Got J. Cole, what's that band called? BTS? Mm-hmm. I'm almost done. Have you seen the Death Note, like real action movie? I don't like it. I was so disappointed. That was nothing like the actual anime. The plot line did not even come close. This is Ariel's office. Okay. And then I'm scared. There's more? You weren't kidding. Yeah, it's just a small basement. This is like where my mom does her space.
cheese.
Yeah, that's my mom's office.
They're black and brown malt.
Oh, I didn't know.
Did you know that?
I've
Look how sick her room is.
I've seen.
Gianna and I and Layla need to step our game up. Look! She has like one of my favorite animes on her wall.
Yep. And how she covers her window.
It just gets
shines
really
through.
bright.
I like it, yeah.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, it gets really bright. But yeah, this is
That's so cute.
my room.
Lil Uzi.
I like it.
Are you a fan of Lil Uzi?
I do like Uzi. Yeah,
Well,
and I
thank
have
you
my
for letting us
dishes.
know.
Yeah, you know, I have trash. You know, it's my favorite part of my room.
Jeez, this room's sick, dude. I feel really sad now. Going back to my room. I don't understand how you designed it so well. Like, is it the posters that balanced it out? Is it the broken skateboard on your
You know, I think it's that.
Is it the frog fund? I don't know.
You know, I'm not exactly sure. It just kind of happened. The ensemble. But yeah, that's my house. I'm gonna grab a snack because I've been in my room for a while. Dude, I've been doing school stuff.
Wow,
this is such a so it's just like hectic.
The essential oils.
Oh my gosh. And like
Grapefruit? I don't have that. She definitely got these in packages. Sugar cookie, gingerbread.
those ones are nasty. Me and Ariel told my mom that she can't have those ones. Because they're like so, like she put them on during Christmas and I was like, it smells nasty in our house. I think on Amazon. You should ask her. I will ask her.
If I really need more. Wow, this is such a cute house. When's the party?
We've missed like 3 of them, so.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this all wedding stuff?
Yeah. They're just doing all the other stuff.
That's Bacardi or something? That is not safe. They got
Well, I
alcohol
wait.
out.
She's acting like
Tata's home alone and they got alcohol out. She would get vajated.
I trust her. Dude, I don't trust her. Why am I doing this? I'm like my mom. Yeah,
You would
Jaden.
trust me.
I trust you to a certain extent.
I wouldn't trust you. Dude, if I was home alone with all this alcohol, I'd get vajated for sure. Don't get any ideas.
You're also like 18, and I'm like 4.
Bro, booties out. Her nipples are just hanging out. Are you serious? Tata's not even miss those nipples. She's a little girl. This is not a crystal, that's a stone. That is that's rose quartz though.
So they're using this at their wedding?
Jaden,
Don't jump! This starts shaking. Are they using this stuff at their wedding?
I'm not exactly sure. They might be though.
have you seen the curtain? That's cool. Oh my gosh.
Bless you. Don't touch it.
Gross.
I don't like it.
It's real gross. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
If someone stabbed you, so like someone came in here and murdered you and they're like freaking gross.
Are they trying to give me tetanus? Like, what's the deal?
That is so cute.
Yeah, my mom just like giving
Ask your
gifts to
mom
the
if
sun.
she wants to decorate my future house for free. Why would let her?
Well, she decorated my room, so
She did?
I just put my stuff in it and then she organized it.
Princess Sugar and Spice and everything nice. She organized it.
Cause like my mom don't like.
Tatum, why do you still dress like this? You should dress like that.
I should. You're right.
Oh, so she went through and organized them?
Yeah, cause she doesn't like the way I organize things. Even though I reorganized it, and she's like, "Oh, this looks really good." And I'm like, "Thanks."
Crafty mama. Ashley.
So
Oh, summer
BPS
school.
isn't gonna let you guys go back yet, huh?
I'm going back every other week.
Oh, you are? I didn't know that.
I tried to like my Fridays are like my 18th days, so I pretty much just get work over then. Done. I don't have to join any of my classes.
Yeah, that's what you're going back Monday and Wednesday every week now, next week. And Jaden's.
Pretty
two adults were staying at the doorstep and were like, she's all, Tatum! And I was like, oh, she's home alone. And I was like, shoot.
I know Jade called me, and I was like, what? Jade never calls me. Like, what?
Because I was gotta come here and get this homeless stuff for the homeless stuff for the homeless. Look. Oh, wow. Homeless people are gonna love this crack. That's alright. It'll keep
You ready?
warm for sure.
Here.
Thank you, sweetheart.
You got Susie.
You already know how it goes, Shauna.
Thank you, Tatum.
So Ariel will be home anytime now?
Probably about like 4:10. Alright, bye. I'm sorry, that was way longer than I expected. Here, wait, I can cut some audio out too, just cause that was a long
Oh
time.
yeah, no, I'm sorry.
It's all good. All right, what were we talking about?
I'm gonna look. We were talking about what role we would play
Yeah.
in changing the.
Yeah, and then you said voting and
Yep.
just like voting. Yeah, I think voting is like our human right. Why am I explaining voting? Yeah, I think voting.
Yeah, but I mean, voting's great.
It's a
It's
human
great.
right. If you didn't know.
Voting good. It's great.
But yeah, I think I don't know. I think my role in life I'll probably vote, or I will vote because voting is important.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like.
And it's like you have to help people, like how you're saying,
Yeah.
like in the Costco, you have to like, step in.
Yeah, and I think that's like the least you can do at this point. If someone is deliberately saying something that will hurt that person's feelings, like you should probably be like, hey, like that's not nice. Or like even when you're talking to someone like one-on-one and they say something either like racist or whatever, you should be like, hey, like you shouldn't say that. Or like even if it wasn't deliberate, even if it wasn't on purpose, like you should still probably be like I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
just like maybe you shouldn't say that.
yeah, maybe you shouldn't say that. Like even like I don't know. I'm gonna talk about like a story that I had with like one of my old friends. Like I think it was back in like 5th grade, but she kept saying like colored people, like and I was like, hey, like you probably shouldn't say that just because it does have like a negative connotation. Just because like back in the day there was like colored water fountains or like for colors only. Like since that does have like a very negative connotation, like you should say people of color. And they were like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, like I didn't mean to. And it's like, it's okay, just like, and I think that's like a lot of like another thing, people take like way too much offense when people are calling them out on stuff. Like
you should just say sorry and then be like, oh, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've called people out like just in general, like I'm not gonna say their name, but I have like people like I know do sometimes make very hurtful jokes, like specifically about like mostly like sexual assault and like abuse and like and like suicide, and I'm like, hey, like you probably shouldn't make those jokes since it is a trigger warning it is like a trigger for a lot of people, like you shouldn't say that.
And like they get so offended. Like they're like, well, I didn't say that. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's not offending anyone. And it's like sometimes it is, and it's like it's also like you can't really match their energy either. Like when they're upset,
Yeah.
you also can't be like, well, you shouldn't do that. Like you should just like be like, hey, you shouldn't say that. Just know for next time. Like, and like most of the time they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like I understand. Like I won't do that again. But sometimes they're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I didn't mean to be like whatever. And it's like,
Mm-mm.
okay, like
Yeah, and it's like I think I said some I can't remember like what I said, and someone's like, "Hey, don't say that." And I'm like, "Okay." But I think I apologized too much. I'm like I made it weird. I'm like, "Oh."
I mean, that's better than people that just straight up don't apologize, which is like, I don't know. I think that's just like a certain, like, you have to have like I don't know. I think that's just like so extra. Like, when people are like, I didn't say anything, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, instead of just being like, oh, I'm like so sorry. Like, I did not mean to make that mistake. And I think that's another thing that
Yeah.
we should also teach is like to not take that personally. Like, it's not like, it's not
Yeah,
like you're
definitely.
insulting your like character or like whatever. It's just telling you, it's like almost educating you in the moment of just being like, hey,
Mhm.
don't say that. And then if you see someone saying that, like you're probably gonna call them out as well. Like it's just like
Yeah.
a cycle. Like that's how education kind of works in my opinion, is like if you tell someone not to do something, and like I don't know, I think like I don't know how do I explain this, just like if you tell someone like to not say a certain thing, they're gonna be like, and they realize like before they realize it's wrong, they're gonna be like, oh, that's wrong, I'm so sorry. But if they see someone else saying that, they'll also be like, oh, don't say that, that's like not right
Yeah,
to say. And then
definitely.
they're like, and then it's just like an everlasting cycle until someone gets all mad and is like, I didn't mean to say that. But it's like,
Hmm.
I don't know, I think that's another thing is like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that definitely.
But yeah, what else, sorry. Um, what personal work/research would you need to lead to positive system change in the USA or the world? I'm
Like,
gonna answer this twice, just because the USA and the world are kind of different.
yeah.
Um, oh wait, I did not read it. Hold on, let me see the question again. Um, what person? Okay, so I think maybe just work on myself, because I definitely think I do. Like, I can admit, I've been racist, I've been sexist, I've been
Yeah, of
like,
course, like everyone has
yeah, and it's just
before.
like, and I don't know, I think mostly like working on myself and being an ally, like not in
A
like
cringy
being,
way.
yeah, not being an ally because like I posted one post about it. Like I'm being an ally because like when I see it, I'm gonna advocate and be like, hey, don't be rude, like
Hmm.
just don't.
And when like what you need to like, you know, like what work you have to do, you have to like do a whole bunch of you have to learn like all the pieces of the system and like what specific pieces of the system are like um of multiple systems like the education system or the prison system that are
Yeah,
actually like being oppressive and
yeah,
then like work to fix that with stuff.
definitely. And I think, like not really especially, but I think like just staying educated is like staying educated and voting if you can. Like, and I
Hmm.
think that's like the best thing you can do. Like,
Yeah.
especially if like it's like almost like when you're donating to something but you don't have any money. Like, you just gotta
Yeah,
do your best to at least like advocate for like.
definitely.
And I'm not saying you have to constantly just, you don't constantly have to go to like, it's like something that people are like, I won't be an ally unless I go to every rally for everything.
Yeah, it's
Like,
pretty
that's
like
not really what, yeah.
people
And
take everything to the extremes. It's like just stop.
I don't know. I think actually you can take it to the extreme if you want. Like, I'm not saying you can't, but you also like can't be like, I'm an ally when you don't do anything.
But
Like, you
like
can't be an ally by association.
that's really true because like people are like, oh, go to one Black Lives Matter protest and then post a picture and then tell
Yeah.
everybody else to go do it.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just think, like, being an ally isn't being, like, I don't know. How do I
Yeah.
say this? Being an ally isn't just being, like, I don't know. I guess like
People
it's
use
like a
it
whole
for like their
thing.
own
Yeah, people
personal
use it for
good.
personal gain. And I think that's another thing. That's like the opposite of an ally. And I think that's with a lot of things that people do. They're just constantly like, I am like, and people always just like, it's the same thing when like people record them doing something nice.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
like
just
if
like,
you record
just
it, it kind
do
of takes
it.
away all
Just
the
like you're
sincerity.
doing it for personal gain at this point. Like, and I guess that is like, I guess that's kind of like, I guess it's like, I don't know. I just think like if someone is to do something nice, just do it and don't like pull out, especially because like that's probably really embarrassing, like especially when people like, I don't know, I'm gonna use an example, like when
Yeah.
people are like when people give money to homeless people, they're just constantly recording it. That's probably really embarrassing for that person to be just constantly, or not constantly, just to be recorded in like a moment where they are kind of like
Yeah,
vulnerable.
they don't want
Like
like the
that's
whole
just
world to
so
see
weird.
like that they're homeless and that they're taking money.
Yeah, and I just think that's like something like that is not, like, that's kind of embarrassing for you. That's embarrassing for them. It's just like there's just no winning in that situation.
No, there's not.
Um but yeah, any other closing notes that we should mention?
You know, I think we just have to be better. I don't know. That sounds stupid.
I
That was
mean, you're
really stupid.
right.
But
Just be better.
yeah, just get good.
Yeah, just get good. I would just say be careful of what you say. Vote if you can. Stay informed. Advocate for people. Be an ally. Research what an ally actually is, and I don't
Mhm.
know. And if
Yeah,
research things before you say things. Don't
that's true.
Also don't argue when you're upset. That's just a life thing.
And like
Just don't argue when you're upset. That's just doesn't
that
do
is really
anything.
true.
But yeah.
I'm
Anything
sorry.
else you? That's
I was
okay.
like about to go into a whole other rant. I'm like, no, we're ending.
We, I mean, you can if you want. How much recording time plus the time I'm gonna edit out? 118. So
Okay.
yeah, you can
It's
say a
just gonna
few
be
things.
quick. So it's like when people research, they like take facts that's like that are actually not real. They're like, I researched.
Yeah, like not actually saying what they researched, or just like, especially because like you kind of do, like when it comes to that stuff, you do kind of need to cross resource of just like, I don't know. I think
Yeah.
it's the same way with news. People either look at really like leftist news or really like right. There isn't really one that's in the
A
middle at this
middle.
point. You just kind of
No.
like, you do have to see it from both perspectives if you like to admit it or not. Like you do
Yeah.
have to kind of see it from both perspectives, because like there's one perspective that thinks it's right and there's one perspective that thinks it's wrong, and you just kind of have to see it from both and then decide your
Mhm.
opinion after that. You can't just see one thing and be like, I know everything about this. And I think that's something that
Yeah.
is the complete opposite. Like, just because you know something doesn't mean you know everything about it. Like,
That's true.
it's like me being like, oh, I know how to count, so I am a mathematician. And it's
Yes.
not like that at all. Like, I am not a mathematician.
Yeah, no, I'm like the opposite of a mathematician.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just, I agree with you. I agree with you very strongly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, yeah, that's our amazing
Yeah, that
project.
was our amazing project. I mean, I I don't know. You probably might be wondering why I did it in pairs, and I think it would just be kind of weird for me to have a conversation by myself about
Yeah, that'd be
issues.
kind
And
of
I just thought
weird.
it would make more sense if I had another perspective, just kind of also to just bounce ideas off of. But Yeah.
Yeah.
Any last words or any
Well,
closing
it's
statements?
last words. Well, I think I really like talking to you about this stuff. So, yeah.
All right. Well, sounds good. All right. Bye.
Uh, bye.
Bye.
Bye.